This session will target 12 development industry problems, many of which we addressed when we developed the LandMentor 2020 system. Land surveyors and civil engineers demand precision, or they could end up in court defending their work. The land planner, city planner, or architect designing rough concepts, hand-drawn, or in AutoCAD without regard to real-world precision requires the land surveyor or engineer to fix everything. They often trash the original sketch ideas and replace it with a cookie-cutter design. Needless to say, this creates animosity between the artistic consultants, who often do not understand the high cost of construction, and the precision consultants, who lack the knowledge required to design an exciting neighborhood with market advantages. The land developer will run their financial estimates on the initial concept. This ends up with completely different financials after the engineers get done with their process to final design, often depleting profitability. The civil engineer acting as a land planner does so with little regard to aesthetics or market advantage for the client, unlikely to pay attention to the architectural elevations or floor plans to showcase the homes or maximize livability. They instead concentrate on the numeric values to make sure the project meets the minimum standards. This situation is typical of the local engineer acting as planner for all their various developer clients. The artistic consultant abhors the results, but most feel powerless. The consumer is the ultimate victim. Online mapping data is terribly inaccurate. Yet, most people, including planners, architects, and engineers, think this free information on the internet must be precision. Well, it's not. In this recent site we planned in Texas, the GIS data from the city, the boundary conflicts with the aerial topography by over 400 foot and over 10 acres. In this recent Minnesota neighborhood we designed, the GIS boundary conflicted with the survey boundary by over 20 feet, requiring a complete redesign of everything. These are not rare instances, but what's rare is when online data is actually somewhat usable. LiDAR is a technology that automates topography. This is a LiDAR of a parking lot. Looks pretty good until we zoom up on it. Now it looks like ocean waves on an otherwise flat surface that could have been defined with precision from a land survey crew on site with a handful of points. The resulting topography is a spastic lineworks that forms incorrect surfaces that can create street and utility design and earthwork errors. The survey crew in the field consumes man hours, no doubt, but the excessive data slows down the engineering process, defeating the promise that LiDAR actually saves time and money. Universities that teach architecture, urban planning, civil engineering, and other real estate-related courses should have common exercises. Students working on the very same projects, but they don't. The students all learn a very narrow and targeted aspect of growth. They learn totally different software platforms and lack a common knowledge base. Historically, 80% of the new growth in the United States have been suburban. Post-pandemic, it could be even greater. Most, if not all, urban planning courses do not teach any suburban design courses. The regulations we have in place fail miserably because they are a paint-by-numbers approach to growth, a zoning classification with a list of minimums. City regulations should reward builders and developers who submit neighborhoods that exceed the minimums. Unfortunately, today's regulatory systems fail to do that. The geometric pattern of growth has not changed since the days a wooden cart and donkey served as the family's transportation. The problem is made worse by developers who want to spend the least time and money to get a plan to submit, and far worse when software technology can produce that plan with hundreds of lots in just a minute or two. Software developers have dumbed down design so that design no longer exists. Look at all the new apartment buildings sprouting in Minneapolis. All appear as if the exact same designer was used. In a way, yes, they all use the same Revit by AutoCAD, using the same preset button to produce the same plan in a fraction of the time, yet bill the client the same fees for less. This problem of over-automation, dumbing down design has been prevalent in subdivision design for over 3 decades. Combined Combined with clients demanding work be done yesterday, no wonder developers and builders with good intentions just replicate, and their desire for market advantage and high profits go down the drain. Maybe there's too much emphasis on the environment. We need to preserve wetlands, but when a half-acre wetland, a dry wetland, requires a 50-foot buffer, that half-acre becomes 1.5 acre. Take, for example, the city of Minneapolis. Had the wetland laws that exist today been enacted 150 years ago, the urbanized existing population would sprawl 2 to 3 times the land consumed. Instead of 425,000 people within 58 square miles, it would be more like 425,000 people in 120 to 180 square miles. I think it's time for regulators to start looking at the quality of human family living over that of a duck family in a swamp. Computer-aided design is a jack of all trades and the master of none. It's not spatial. It's intentionally over-complex. Creating a dedicated core technology specific to land development applications that mimic the physical world we live in targets the problems that exist in land development without also trying to serve manufacturing, aircraft, clothing, vehicular, bicycle, and all other forms of design. Communication in the form of lines and arcs is so 1600s. By replicating the surfaces that define our world, we simplify every aspect of design while providing critical information needed at the conceptual stage. Eliminating the thousands of commands of CAD and creating a more usable and I dare say fun user interface, we have created a much better platform to begin with that reduces the learning curve for software from months or years to just a few days. Instead of taking the time to teach the CAD as a tool, we instead take the time to teach high-level design decisions to make a better land development consultant. Land developers today still use a planimeter, a device invented in 1854 to figure out the economics of the CAD design plan. How absurd is that? The plan itself should contain, with incredible accuracy, the intelligence to communicate exact impacts of what's being proposed at initial concept stage. Modifying existing regulations in a way that reward better development submittals benefits everyone. Most of the people breathing on this planet know how to play a video game. The perfect and simple technology that has existed for decades. So when will line drawing that's not much different than a plan of 1820s stop being acceptable today? We have the technology to communicate not only in interactive 3D, but immersive virtual reality quickly, easily, and affordably. Merging in education and all aspects of development within a software technology creates the common knowledge base and communication language missing in the consulting industry. This is key to creating a more collaborative and enabled group of professionals. All of the above is why we developed LandMentor 2020.